I got a great person today, a buddy of mine, Jim from Nashville. So, good morning to everybody. My name is Brock Zevan. I'm a life coach, business coach, real estate agent, and a dad. And it is a dad weekend for me this weekend. So, I got to gear up. And Bryce Boy, he is 4, and Brielle is 10. For those of you just joining us, if this is your first time being on here, welcome and just excited to be here. On Figured Out Friday, we started this several. Look at, I even got Jim sporting, bud.
Let's
Jewish
go.
company
Let's
right here with
go.
the Impact here. And so Jim and I, part with Chad, are coached by Michael Burt. And what's up, Amy from Charleston? We got some Courtney from Colorado. Hey, Courtney, what's going on? And so one of the things that inspired me with Jim, so as you guys all know, I'm pretty competitive. And how Jim and I met, literally, we were at the event in Nashville. First time being at the event, I shared with you guys part of my story of what that looked like. I was a little scared out of my mind. I spent like $10,000 to be at this thing. I was like, what am I doing? And so we get there, Terry, and the coach does something and he puts on a big show. And then we get to this point where it's like, all right, who wants to join us? Who's the first person? And goes on and like this elaborate thing. And it's another $10,000 to do this. And like nobody's on the stage. And I'm like, and I'm kind of thinking about it, but I'm like, God, I don't have another $10,000. I don't know what I'm going to be to do. But I'm like, man, that sounds really good, Stephanie. And who's going to be it? Who's going to do it? And guess who fricking goes on first? The man, the myth, the legend, Jim, fricking jumps on stage and is like, "Ah, I'm going to do it." I'm like, who the hell's this guy? Like, who does this think he is that he's going to go on stage and like do this? And so now he's like, the coach is trying to bring more people on. And now my competitive juices are really flowing. Cause I'm like, man, who's this guy I think he is? And of course, you know me, guys. I go on stage. And literally, that's how Jim and I met, was through that interaction. Since then, we become really close. We talk every week on Thursdays. He's part of our Thursday call that him and I do. We network together. And every time I go to Nashville, I crash at his place and I have my own little room upstairs and he's got it all set up nicely for me. So I got my own room, my own bathroom. It's like a nice little setup. And so he helps me out when I go up there. But then we get to mastermind. We do some network events. We actually went to a hockey game last time I was up there. Guys, remember the story I told you on how I got towed or I had a boot put on my car? He's the guy right here. He's the one. So that I was telling them my story about the boot. I was like, you won't believe what happened to me. Like the car gets a boot. I'm in Nashville. And so Jim was the one that I was with when I got the boot put on my car. So just to let you know. But anyways, so Figured Out Friday, we talk about people's stories, where they came from, where they've grown, what happened, the shitstorm they went through, the problems they had, like and a lot of it is either environment, substance abuse. It's something that takes place and everybody has a different story, financially, marriages, like every successful person. And what I love is they come to us and they share their story and they allow us to be able to dig into them. And I say to them, you can be as vulnerable as you want. I said, you got to try to do it in about 20 minutes, but share with us the story of what you went through, where you are today, and the successes that you have. And so, Jim, brother, good morning from Nashville. Thank you. I know it's 8:20. I got you. Well, you get up early now, but good morning, man. How are you, buddy?
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to sharing some life experiences that I've had personally and how I've kind of handled and attacked those. And as we all know, and everybody on this call, life's a journey and a success in my mind is forward motion, right? So, keep striving for that goal that you've created and, keep hammering that nail and something good's going to happen. So that's kind of been my whole mantra throughout life. And Brock and I have developed a great relationship and we push each other and we pick each other up and we help each other. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Brock. I really appreciate the opportunity to kind of go over my struggles in life and my story. And I hope that it helps someone on this call today. And I'm always looking forward to networking. So Brock will get some information in the chat about how you can contact me. I love people. I love relationships. When Brock was in town, 2 weeks ago, I purposely was very strategic about bringing him into my circle, having a dinner party at my house and networking. So part of today, one of the reasons why I was so excited is because I get to meet all of you and hopefully build a connection and build a relationship and see how we can benefit each other in the future as we continue to go throughout life. We continue to battle certain struggles. At the end of the day, we're all in this thing together, and we all probably have gone through similar struggles. So I'll dive into kind of my history. Originally from Boston, Massachusetts, grew up in Boston, struggled through life early on. My parents were addicted to OxyContin. I found out about both of them being addicted to OxyContin through my best friend. He was in a vehicle where one of his older brother's friends sold them OxyContin. So at 14 years old, I knew that my parents were fully blown addicted to OxyContin without them knowing I knew. So as a young kid, 14, 15, trying to figure out life, going through struggles, I had every odd against me. No one went to college in my family. I've got two older brothers. They're doing great, but they've separated themselves from our family as they grew up and got older, right? So I'm the youngest. So I had to deal with a lot of that stress. And one of the things, and one of the things that I've created throughout life is radiating positivity in a negative world. It's kind of one of my concepts I speak on a little bit, and I try to radiate positivity throughout everything I do, right? We get knocked down. We don't pick certain circumstances, certain things happen to us, right? You can't just pick and choose how your life unfolds. So in those tough times, you want to radiate positivity and think of the good things, not the negative things. And that's truly what really got me through life. So at a young age, parents addicted to OxyContin, no one goes to college. I'm playing baseball, get a scholarship. I'm working with the coach, full ride. Let's go. I'm a pitcher. I'm excited. I'm getting out of this life. I'm getting away from the struggle. I'm getting away from my parents. And a week before, it's $40,000 for college, and they give me $35,000 in scholarship, right? I'm elated. I'm excited. I get to play baseball. This is my out. Well, we're $5,000 short from a full scholarship. So I go to my parents. My parents don't have $5,000. So a week before going to college, as my way out, I find out that I'm not going to college, and it's over $5,000, right? So in that situation, I could have went off the deep end. I could have used drugs. I could have went to other things, but I had to radiate positivity in that negative situation. So I scrambled. I got into community college 2.5 weeks late from the semester, which they don't let you in. They don't do. And I knew at that time, if I didn't force myself and push and try to get into college somehow, some way, I never would have went to college. So end up, strategically putting my sales shoes on and wiggling my way into college, graduating, going to a 4-year school, getting my associates, then getting my bachelor's degree, and working throughout the whole time, right? You've got to remember, no money for college. What do you do? So I worked 60 hours a week and went to 4 night classes a week to get through college. So the whole point of all this, and the reason why I share this with you, is because we come up against obstacles and we have choices and decisions, and we need to push through those things to be successful, and to push through those things that we know are right and how we're going to progress and develop throughout life. So fast forward, radiating positivity in a negative situation, right? I get through that period in life, get a little lost after I graduate college, working a lot full time in a miserable job. And I realize, okay, I'm working for a vice president, and I'm the youngest director in the company, very successful, running multiple states, the whole East Coast, Maine down to Florida, selling hospitality. And what I realize is, the guy I look up to, we're at a company party down in Miami. The guy I look up to is blowing coke in the bathroom with the CFO. So right there and then, I decided, okay, I need to change my life. This is not the people I want to be around, right? And I get in this this mode of, why are drugs following me? Why is negativity following me? I'm trying to get out of this thing. So what do you do when you're running, you're scared, you keep seeing consistent things? I moved to Nashville. So I had to figure it out, right? Like literally figure it out. I'm going to Nashville for a job opportunity. I don't know anything about the company. I'm just trying to get away from my current situation. I've never been to Nashville, Tennessee. I don't know anybody that lives in Nashville, Tennessee. No one from high school, no friends, no family. And I also don't like country music. So everybody, all my mentors, everybody that I'm talking to is literally telling me I'm crazy, right? Jim, what the hell are you doing? You're a Boston kid. You've got a thick accent. You grew up in the streets. Why are you going to Nashville, Tennessee, right? What's wrong with you? I said, hey, I need a change, right? I'll figure it out, guys and gals. I will figure it out. So what's the worst that happens, right? I've got a shitty life in Boston, Massachusetts. Drugs keep following me. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to progress in life, right? I'm trying to be an entrepreneur, but working for a corporate company. So I get to Nashville. I literally am on the drive, break up with my girlfriend, move out, pack my car, and I'm driving to Nashville. And I don't even have an apartment. I find an apartment on the phone as I'm driving. Never seen it, nothing. I'm like, hey, I'll figure it out, right? And I keep coming back to that figure it out, because truly that was my situation. And I'm elated to have the opportunity to jump on a Figure It Out Friday show, because this is really my whole life and situation. So I get to Nashville, Tennessee, work for a company. They asked me to lie on a profit and loss statement, very unethical. And I go, oh shit. Here we are again, another roadblock in my life, and I know no one. I have no connections. I have no leverage. I have no family, and I'm working for an unethical company. So the next day I decide I need to start my own company. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure it out. So at that point, I'm working for this corporate company. They're unethical. I'm trying to figure out another solution. And a gentleman walks into my office, and I'm interviewing him for a managerial role. $60,000 job, running an account for me. And in his pitch to get the job, he tells me about this little side hustle, an organic frozen beverage company that he had an idea of. So I look at this opportunity and I say, okay, come work for me and let's figure out this company. I end up buying the company, growing the company, and this is my out plan, right? This is my game plan. I'm like, cool, I'm doing the entrepreneurial dive. This is a great product. I support it. It's organic. It's better than ice cream. There's less sugar. There's no preservatives. This is my thing. I'm golden. Let's go. Let's go. Right? I'm fired up. And I do that for about a year. I resign from the corporate company. They offer me a bunch of money to stay. I say, okay, let me grow this side business. And this is my exit plan. After a year, amazing, amazing growth. Again, I'm doing this after hours. I'm working 60 hours for corporate still. We do about 815,000 in revenue, and we're moving into year one. I quit my corporate job. I get my real estate license as a backup plan. And I'm looking at this company. I'm doing vision boards. I'm drawing myself on Forbes magazine, right? Like entrepreneur of the year, helping people, organic beverages, no preservatives, right? A week later, after I quit my corporate job, making $165,000 a year, COVID hits. I just made the jump. I've got the successful business, and COVID hits. And here I am once again, ladies and gentlemen, trying to figure it out, right? So in that situation, we start chatting partnership. I'm trying to buy the company from him. He's scared of COVID. He won't let me. I'm trying to figure it out. I end up selling him the company through very, very creative financing. God bless that gentleman. He paid me every dollar to this date for that business, which I never thought would happen. But everything worked out, and I started doing real estate. So in COVID, you can't really do much for real estate, especially being new. You can't meet people, can't do open houses. So throughout this process, I say, okay, how do I bring the community together? As an entrepreneur, I need to meet more people. So I create impact social events. I create an event company because all the networking events sucked in Nashville and no one was doing it during COVID. And I needed it most. But I also know that every other entrepreneur and every other salesperson who thinks that their career is at the end because we're in COVID and they can't meet people and can't grow and can't sell needs this as well. So I start this company. It ends up growing. I've owned it for since 2020. We're throwing a massive conference, 500 people at the end of the year here in Nashville, Tennessee. We've got great speakers. We're going to get Brock on stage as well. We've got some celebrities, Tim Story, Coach Michael Burt, Cody Askins lined up. So anyways, all of that, the whole time I had to figure it out. I had to figure out my next move, my next situation, and my next path. So at the end of the day, I end up, real estate comes back. I end up growing my real estate company. I end up growing my event company. And here I am today. I'm someone who, never thought I'd get married. I never thought I'd have kids. I've been married for 6 months now. I have a beautiful 3-month-old daughter. And all I have to say to everybody on this call is keep the faith, keep pushing. You're going to figure it out. Your back is going to be against the wall 100 times over and over. And you've got to have that passion and that love and utilize that fear to get through these situations, to progress and to grow in life. And it's going to be all right as long as you have the right work ethic and as long as you connect and grow your relationships. And that's exactly how I met Brock. That's why we're great friends. He stays at my house. He's met my daughter. He's met my wife. We go to hockey games. We throw dinner parties. We try to leverage relationships to help each other and bring the community together. So at the end of the day, that's my story, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody's going to face adversity. Everybody's going to come up against struggles. We all have good days. We all have bad days. Mark and I were talking last week. I lost $10,000. My Facebook got hacked. They ran up ads on my credit card. I lost another deal in real estate, right? Like these things happen. And what do we have to do? We have to figure it out. We have to radiate positivity and we've got to keep pushing and keep trying to grow throughout this process. And at the end of the day, and Coach Burt says this, and I know Brock says this, but everything goes back to zero at midnight. And we've got to wake up with the right mindset and the right motivation and figure it out every single day in order to grow and be successful in life. So that's my story. I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to share it with y'all, and would love to answer questions and talk through anything I can.
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you. I mean, for those of you who listen and give some embrace, give some love, give some hearts, give some emotion to it. Because when I ask people, and I said, listen, I mean, Jim knows, I said, be as vulnerable as you want for what you can control. Because when you go back into time, okay, Greg's been on here, Chad's been on here, Christian, like several of you have been on here. I mean, James Sharp, like many of you, I hear your stories. Like I get emotional when I say my story because there's pain attached to it. There's something that is attached to it that at any given point, you can go off the deep end and go into emotional town that triggers something to be like, oh my God, I can't believe that's right. I did that. I didn't even think about that. And then let alone you're saying it to people you don't even know and saying it to people that are like online and Facebook and everything else. And so I appreciate everybody's love and hearts and everything else. But here's the thing I get from Jim. Oh, Christian asked this. Why did you decide to get out of the beverage business on Facebook? Why did you get out of the beverage business, Jim?
So during COVID, we were selling the equipment to restaurants, and then we would sell the organic solution to make it frozen. You can mix it with alcohol. You can drink it regularly. It's organic with fruit in it. And what I realized was I could not emotionally handle the up and down of government control based on restaurants being open and closed. And I just couldn't handle it. It was too much. 1 week I could sell my product, 1 week I couldn't. 1 week I could have an event, 1 week no one could have an event, So there was just such a roller coaster in order to be able just to live in a free state of selling my product. Restaurants were closed. So
Mhm.
that was the main reason. I didn't have faith in the local government opening restaurants in time for me to continue to make the business profitable. And I didn't know how long COVID was gonna be around.
Mhm. Yeah,
It was a
COVID
very
was a
profitable but it was a very profitable business. And if I didn't sign a non-compete to never enter that industry again, I'd already have another company doing the same exact thing.
hmm. I find it fascinating as we grow through life, and for those that are on the call here this morning and those that watch the recording, I counted, I think, 6 or 7 obstacles, challenges, some of extreme magnitude. I don't want to know what it's like when you find out about your parents. I mean, starting off at that point at 14, 15 years old with your parents on drugs, like that's a huge impact of what happens in your life. But the thing that I hear many, many, many times, everybody, when I listen to people's story, like we don't we hear the emotion, but at the time period, I mean, of continuing to move forward, continuing to be like, oh shit, okay, this happened. Now what? I got to figure this out. All right, now let me think about this. I mean, you probably did it 6 or 7 times within a 10-year span of like huge events. Would you agree, Jim?
Oh yeah, yeah. And you've got to also understand, how to figure it out mentally with your mindset, right? I mean, and I talk about this a lot, and it's cliche, everybody's heard it, but are you the victim of the victor, right?
Hmm.
There's a million things that have happened in my life where I could have been the victim, and I could be, flipping burgers at McDonald's and strung out on drugs and, full blown alcoholic, right? Like addiction is very close to me based on my family, right? So
Hmm.
it's a million figure it out struggles, man, and mindset and motivation being the biggest struggle of it all because of why me, right? Everybody has these situations where it's why me, why is this happening to me, why can't I catch a break? And you've got
Hmm.
to radiate positivity to put that back in the world, you know and receive that energy back. So
And I don't think you care that I share this, but you've made some impactful health decisions recently since I've met you with you don't drink anymore.
yep.
You get up really early. Kind of share with us a little bit about that mindset because a lot of times people don't that like there's things that cloud your decision making and your clarity. Kind of share with them, briefly here of that impact of what you like some changes you made.
Yeah, so what I realized is I put health at the bottom of the tier, and it really needs to be at the top of the tier, right? So you have to be healthy in order to be a good spouse, right? To have a healthy marriage. You have to have a healthy marriage in order to be a healthy parent and raise your child, right? And all that has to be good before you go into a healthy social relationships and then healthy wealth, right? And business. And it's funny, business was first in my life the whole time. And I just had it completely backwards. And I think, finding my wife and having a child really put it in perspective that this isn't about me anymore. And my health needs to be number one so I can support my family. I can grow my wealth. I can create better relationships, have a great social life, and be a great parent and husband. So, if I had it backwards basically. And what I realized was, I'm losing time. If I'm not waking up at 4:30 and hitting the gym, I'm not in a great mental state. I don't feel great. If I'm drinking all the time, I'm not going to the gym, and there's this snowball effect. So what I realized is let me cut out alcohol, see how it goes. It's been amazing. And let me start getting into the gym and waking up early and having clarity and journaling. And, you know, for me, honestly, my biggest struggle is vulnerability and sharing my emotion. You guys got to remember, I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts, in an Irish family who literally was like, we're Irish, we're miserable, and we're going to hold it all in and we're going to die one day. Like that was the mantra, right? Is like, shut up. No one wants to hear your emotions. Quit bitching, go to work and handle your shit. That's literally how I grew up in Boston. So being vulnerable and having those conversations, and it's okay to share emotions because that will help you grow.
Hmm. Absolutely, man.
So
Well, I
the
love it,
health thing
brother.
has been huge. Yeah, it's
Yeah. No, and I loved when I hear this story, and it's just like being able to, yeah, the Irish mindset. I know it's, and it goes back to, I say it all the time. A pre-existing experiences cause you to make today's decisions. And many times it's a habit and routine and behaviors. I was talking to Wendy today about this morning where we're having a conversation. I'm like, that's just a behavior. We have to be able to change behaviors and habits in order to put ourselves in a better position. So, guys, thanks so much, Jim. I appreciate you being on here. Make sure you give him some hearts. Make sure you give him some thumbs up, some loves out there. We're going to put his information on here on the chat. Jay, if you could put his information on here, therealjimmorris.com. If Jim said something to you, maybe you have a past with your parents, maybe you got something with the beverage company, I don't know, but real estate, anything that you got, him and I both get coached in speaking in what we do in a mindset, which Coach Burt. People might be like, I don't really like Brock. I like Jim. Then talk to Jim. We all have certain things that we can bring to the table. He's got his event, impactsocialevents.com. Maybe you've been thinking about doing events. Maybe even I've been trying to figure it out with them. And I'm always like, what do you do? How do you do this? How many people? What does this look like? How do you get your venues? Like, he's the professional at it. So take a look at his website, so impactsocialevents.com, therealjimmorris.com, and reach out to him. Facebook world, thank you so much. If you're watching the recording, thank you so much. Guys, I appreciate everybody being on here. Jim, I appreciate your time, taking time to be with us and share your story. And vulnerability is not the thing for you. And here you are being vulnerable today. You also got him on Instagram, The Real Jim Morris, at The Real Jim Morris. So you got Instagram. Feel free to connect with him. We'll make sure that you need any more of his information, we'll get it out to you. Jim, I appreciate you, man. Give
thank
the
you.
little one a little bit of a hug. Tell your wife I said hello. Thank you all. Thank you, Terry, Amy, Christian, Claudia, all those that are on here. I can't see everybody's names, but God bless you all. Thank you so much, Jim. Thank you. We'll be back Monday at 8:15. Yours truly will be leading the show on Monday at 8:15 Eastern Time, 7:15 Central Time. God bless you all. Have a phenomenal weekend, and we'll see you guys later.